All right, so we are live. Before we begin, I would like to go ahead and bring the meditation singing bowl to cleanse the energy around us and take 3 deep meditative breaths before we begin. All right. Hello, Melanie. Hello, Shabaka. Hello, not actually my name. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys made it to the live. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into today's topic. Sunny, what can you
Today's call.
reveal to us about this Cancerian full moon?
Well, thank you for having me and hope everyone's doing well. Scorpio Moon and I were just talking about it's been kind of a crazy week.
Hmm.
Cancer is all about family and family issues and members. And one of the parts of Cancer I don't think really gets a lot of attention in the natural zodiac chart. It rules the fourth house, which is the home, mother or father. It is also the grave, so it can be the end of a matter. Um, we've had a lot happen in about a 72-hour period leading up to this full moon. On Friday, we had the planet Mercury go retrograde.
Hmm.
And as Mercury was going retrograde, we had the moon opposite Mars. So that can be very argumentative. I know in some areas this was a long weekend because of Martin Luther King's birthday yesterday. Federal employees, banks, courts were closed, and people took an opportunity to have a long weekend and maybe visit with family. Um, then on the 17th, late last night, began the full moon. It continues for about 3 days. Today we have on the 18th, we have the planet Uranus stationing to go direct. So when a planet stations to go direct, it kind of pauses. So it kind of pauses.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the other part of the full moon, it was in the late degrees of Cancer at 27 degrees. So within just about 4 hours, it went what's called void of course. So when a moon goes void of course, it's not in any sign. And that's kind of an opportunity with Cancer being water and sensitivity, we might have felt some sort of emotional calm or break before the SHIT storm, because it's been kind of an SHIT storm, as the speed of Uranus will start to pick up. And then tomorrow, the sun, another huge star in the sky, changes sign into Aquarius. Aquarius rules Uranus. So that's sort of another double whammy of the thunderbolt. Uranus brings in new technology, renovation, revolution, evolution, doing things a new way, things being unexpected. In my article for this full moon, I tried to emphasize how important it is to stay flexible, and that can be on tiny little scales as well as the big picture. The moon is this full moon is opposite the planet Venus. And remember, oppositions are the energies that we can't control, but so much that, there's other karmic patterns involved with opposition. So where a square is us and giving pressure to ourselves, oppositions have to do with, other parties involved. And the Cancer Capricorn axis has a lot to do with home and work. So that could mean, issues with coworkers as well as families. with the Uranus energy, there could be a lot of opportunities to advance in your profession or seek new opportunities. So, a whole lot going on for sure. And the full moon is also opposite Pluto. Pluto is all about the Tower card. And, there's a lot of interpretations about the Tower card. It can mean, fated relationships, like the tower, those two people falling out of the tower. If, if on their own volition, they are not moving towards their highest good, the universe can create a tower moment or a thunderbolt to put those people together on the path where they need to be. They can also split apart people who are not meant to be. So, Cancer is ruled by the moon, which in and of itself is an enigma. And it rules the breast, chest, stomach area. If you have a lot of Cancerian energy in your chart, it's typical for those emotions to kind of stew in the stomach area, maybe creating indigestion or an upset stomach. The herbs that help with that, of course, are peppermint and fennel, licorice. There's others, but so if you're feeling dread or the fear of change and you have heavy Cancerian energy in your chart, it can manifest through issues in your stomach. I'm going to digress a minute because it came to me. New technology. So Uranus is all about finding new ways to do things, whether that's electronics or software. But there's been a consistent advertisement online lately about how an invention has been created where you can lick a television screen and taste whatever it is on the television. It was at some electronics conference that they've been showing on the news. Well, when I was doing workshops like 20 some years ago, we would be in a classroom, and my topic was astrology of herbs, and we would go through each sign and what part of the body that it represented. And I had a little greenhouse, and I would bring in plants. And so, Aries, the head, first sign of the natural zodiac, sinus issues, horseradish would help. And I'd pass around a little pot of horseradish. And the idea was that you could sense the energy of that planet. Like we're here on the surface of Earth looking up at these, mysterious floating spheres, and we can speculate through research. And you and I were just talking about, you saw a show about Neptune and Uranus and the atmosphere around them. So, I was trying to bring that into a 3D experience. Well, 1994 or so bursts the internet, and we're all somewhat isolated in our little bowls here looking online. So I can't really pass you a sprig of peppermint, to help your tummy. But
Right. Hold on.
maybe, oh, we have more 911 messages.
It's the medic. Sorry.
It's the medic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Well, so there's confirmation. Maybe through technology, we'll be able to sit here in a class and sense these different herbal energies and how they connect to the planets and what they represent.
Or you could visit Scorpio Moon's website and
There
get
you
some
go.
herbal teas. And I do have a peppermint bath salt for that
Great.
purpose.
That's excellent. I was going to ask you, what had you been? I know you've had family visiting, and I didn't know if you had new things to show us, but please stop me.
No, I do have this. Can you see that tree?
I did, yes.
Hold on. Let me see if I could bring it closer.
It's beautiful. Is it citrus? I don't, oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
It's a bonsai tree.
I love it. So Cancer is the gardener. For you to be show and tell with plants is very Cancer full moon thing for us to be doing. It's all about digging in the earth, and the moon in the Farmer's Almanac directs us when's the best time to plant, when's the best time to plant root crops, or when's the best time, like during fire moons, to put out your organic pesticides. So yeah, that's really appropriate for us to be talking about planting and the green thumb for Cancer. So also being ruled by the moon, it's about the subconscious mind. So, and full moons typically bring completion to cycles. So you may feel that you're coming to the end of some sort of karmic lesson, or some sort of resolution to do with family, or the end of a matter. With we have both Mercury and Venus retrograde right now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I want as a reminder notice to myself and to help any of the viewers about retrograde planets is this. It might not be like something physically in your life. It could be a reoccurring dream. It could be a reoccurring something that happened. And when planets go retrograde, the same thing happens, maybe with different people. And so as I was trying to come up with my article for this month and the full moon in Cancer, and I personally have the moon in Cancer as well as Venus. So I feel this very intensely. It's been really a lot of booms for me, a lot of as far as work, my boss had a car accident today on the full moon. The last few days have been very challenging, and I had to look back in the ephemeris. It was really weird. Cancer rules the mother. So I looked back in the ephemeris in 1996. My mother died in hospice, and I want to take this opportunity to send out loving prayers and God blesses to your hearts for any hospice nurses out there. You're one of the kind earth angels, and never get enough appreciation or admiration for exactly what you go through to help families let loved ones go at the end of life. So God bless hospice nurses. If you're dealing with a loved one right now in hospice, we'll bring in extra prayers and light to surround you. It's a very difficult time. So even though, how many years has that been? 20 some years, I'm getting emotional because in the last week, one of my best friends, who's in her 70s, is letting go of her 98-year-old mother-in-law in hospice. So I look back in the ephemeris to discover that Mercury is at the same degree as it was when my mother died in 1996. So when we talk about retrograde planets, you would look at your chart for the degrees certain planets are and where they were when a big chapter, oppositions or chapters in your life. I can tell you when you lose a parent, it's a huge chapter, regardless of your relationship with them. Because another interesting thing that comes up about astrology and family is if you take the parents' charts and all the kids, they have like degrees that they share. So it's a very mysterious, the moon is an enigma. It's the subconscious mind. We don't really understand it, but there's something there very mysterious, right? So here I find myself all these years later speaking to someone, putting a loved one in hospice and going through, well, this is what's going to happen. And this is the role the hospice people play. And it was so weird. And then, I look in my chart and I look at what was happening back when my mom died, and it's lined up again. That's an example of energies that are retrograde. So where a lot of focus gets put on 3D present day now and what's going to happen, and should you buy a car, should you sign a contract, I take it like in a much deeper, more subconscious level. These are about patterns in our life. and chapters. So,
You
again,
know, I want to interrupt. My parents actually brought some documents about a contract that they wanted to sign with the bank, and I read through it. It looks okay, but I'm still kind of like, should they? You know, and it was a really hard thing to, you know. But the thing is that they're trying to sell a home, and if the buyer isn't able to buy the house, then that's how they're gonna take out this loan to pay the house off and do whatever with, you know.
so there's no blanket answers to that. A lot
Mhm.
would do with maybe your mom or dad were born with Mercury retrograde, and this exactly lines up with their next chapter in their life. So it's
Mhm.
not a blanket statement. What it
Mhm.
is a hidden thing. So it means read things twice and three times and be very clear. You need to pay extra attention to details. Doesn't mean
Right.
we'll do it. We have to live our life. But on
Right.
that note, I was looking at when Mercury retrograde ends, because another concept is that you wait until the planet Mercury gets back to the same degree as it was when it went retrograde.
Mhm.
I'm up here in 2025. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay.
Okay, that's too much.
Okay. So Mercury went retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius on the 14th, and it backs up into Capricorn on the 27th of this month. And then on February 4th, it goes direct at 24 degrees of Capricorn, and it does not get back to 10 degrees of Aquarius until February 24th. So you know when you hear about the shadow
Mhm.
period, that's what they're talking about, is getting out of the shadow of when it's stationed retrograde. So technically, this particular Mercury retrograde
Will
is
last until
completely
the
out of
end
the
of.
shadow by February the 24th.
Got it.
And while we're looking at retrograde, so Venus stations to go direct this month, January 29th, at 11 degrees Capricorn. So,
Oh.
uh, one of the parts of Cancer I kind of wanted to get out of the way is that it does involve the grave, the end of the matter, and family. So, I think as I have really prominent places in Cancer around me a lot lately has been people talking about there was another funeral. Distant friends didn't know them real well, but we've had snow on the ground and talk of the undertaker finding the plot under the snow. You know, those are very Cancerian fourth house things. If you don't have a lot of Cancer energies or aspects in your chart, you know, you're not, you'll be,
Affected.
yeah, you'll be maybe more
You'll
busy for a full moon, but
yeah.
I'm just trying to explain somebody has got, I got a lot of Cancer in my chart, and there's been a lot of issues about family, the grave, the undertaker, the end of the matter, hospice. I personally have updated my will and my personal estate documents. So, any kind of water energy, Pisces, Scorpio, under a watery full moon like this, you might feel more emotional or more motivated to do things related to your profession and your family. You might even go into business with your family or get out of business. I know one of the funeral I was speaking of was a lumber company that was started like 100 years ago by the grandfather. The father is who died, and he was 90 or something. I mean, it just like generations of family in this business, and now sons run it. So that's very Cancerian full moon with what these energies are about. So the moon opposite Pluto for Tarot would be the Eight of Cups card. So that is completing a commitment, walking away from a commitment, just a completion of some sort. So
Mhm.
one of the interesting things, and it would depend on where you are in the world, but there's our new moon January 31st for some people. there won't be a new moon in the month of February. So I thought that was interesting. We'll see how that plays out. I didn't bring it up to my desk, but I'm going to do a shout out to an old book, I think from the early 90s, 1992, I think is when I saw it published. And gosh, I should have written down the author's name. Please forgive me, but I'll follow up with you on that in an email. Women Who Want Run with the Wolves is very significant energy to all of these combinations I'm describing about our deep psyche within our souls. It's not a superficial topical energy at all. It's stuff that really stirs you up about your legacies, your family. Anytime you have a wedding or a funeral, you're going to have family disputes because you can't please everybody at all. This family that the woman, my friend is, she's in her 70s. Her husband is close to 80, and his mom died, who was just a few months away from like 99 years old. So,
Oh.
and they all live like out in the country together. So,
Mhm.
and then there are two sons they had and a son that had sons. So it's about 4 generations,
Mhm.
very Cancerian full moon. And
Oh.
so, you've got granddaughters looking for granny's ring and, the 70-something-year-old daughter of the mom who died. It is just unbelievable, and
I
we,
wanted to put some note on that one. My mother, she came and she had a gorgeous diamond ring, and I said, "Mom, that's kinda sparkly. I never seen that before." She said, "Oh, when I die, I give it to you."
yeah.
I said, "Okay."
Well, this is so weird that we're talking about diamond rings because evidently so the woman who died was 99.
Uh-huh.
Her daughter, I want to say, is like 75.
Oh.
And the brother, who's my friend's husband, is like 78.
Mhm.
So the 75-year-old daughter had quite the life, evidently. She was a dancer and she
Mhm.
married some mob guy in Chicago back in the day. And they lived very highfalutin. She
Mhm.
had a lot of nice jewelry and gave her mom some kind of 3-carat diamond ring.
Mhm.
This is a mom and a daughter. So a few months ago, the daughter was visiting from Florida and her mom said, "Why don't you go ahead and take this ring?" Right. So my friend's daughter, who would be the granddaughter, who's I think around 45, wants to sue her aunt for the diamond ring because she feels
What?
somewhat entitled to, her aunt took her ring because Granny promised that ring to me. And I'm sitting here going, but wait a minute, that's the daughter. It's the only daughter. So I'm sort of on the outside, but it's so weird because in every family there's a diamond ring story. Every family has that. And I bet if we looked up crystals and gems, diamonds probably fall under the rulership of Cancer and the moon.
Oh, that is really interesting.
It is very interesting for sure. Um, so one of the things that is significant about this week is the full moon opposite Pluto, and that's not to be underestimated. Um, Pluto is do we want to call him the devil card? I mean, that's like you traversing your deepest, darkest fears and the crap you don't want to deal with.
Mhm.
So I don't know why I don't really I do know why. So let's go there.
Okay.
I kept getting fairy tales
Uh-huh.
as a theme of these energies because to me it's like a soup, like you have Pluto opposite the moon and you have Neptune making a trine to Venus. You have Neptune making a square to Mars. So you get that Mars Venus thing going on. Neptune can be very seductive. It can be poison, you know. So I just kept getting forbidden love stories, you know,
Mm.
and
The twin
um,
flames.
well, yeah, basically. And the mixture, and I can rattle down all the actual placements here, but the mixture I was coming up with is a great story of love conquers all. And by going through the dark night of the soul towards a mystic union with the divine after death. So you sort of have to go through a what is it I'm trying to say, like a brimstone and fire in your psyche to root out the darkness and the fears and the negative patterns that come from family
Hmm.
cancers. Okay. um, to really get clear on having healthy open love. And
Hmm.
um, if you will give me a little license, I'd like to read a fairy tale for everyone.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, honey.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is about it's Greek, between Psyche and Eros. And Eros was Cupid in Roman. Psyche was mortal. So before I give you the little fairy tale, I first wanted to get out of the Roman Greek mythology, although I love it, but I thought maybe it'd be more interesting for your viewers to hear some other culture's myth. I was drawn to the Native American story between Pocahontas and John Smith, Captain John Smith.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
relatable.
yeah, yeah. And I kept getting the I don't know if we want to put a link to it, but it's the song that was written called Fever about Romeo and Juliet and Pocahontas and John Smith. So that's kind of the resonation of the energy between Neptune, the moon, Mars, Venus, Pluto. That's
Very hot and cold, steamy,
yeah,
like,
forbidden.
I hate you, like.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to write this down because there's a depth here to this story. So don't just listen to the story. I want you to think about it in terms of subconscious mind and patterns and relationship issues. So, but I want to read it so I get it right because there's a lot here, and I kept trying to figure out how to express it, and I just decided I need to just tell you the fairy tale and everyone will get from it what resonates to them.
Okay.
So Psyche's beauty was so admired that attention was no longer um, appreciated or given to Aphrodite, who was Venus. So Venus, Aphrodite, same goddess, was very jealous of Psyche for her beauty. And she was mortal, remember, and Venus was immortal. So Aphrodite sent her son, Eros, on a mission and wanted to curse Psyche to marry a vile beast and live a life of torture. So Venus slash Aphrodite could be quite the jealous goddess. Once Eros saw Psyche, he fell in love and disobeyed his mother, possibly by accidentally being stuck by one of his own arrows, you know, Cupid's arrows with the love potion on the end, potion, Neptune. So rumor circulated that Psyche was an unknown daughter of Aphrodite, so no suitors dared to approach her to consider marriage. Psyche resented her own beauty and fell in a deep depression. Her father went to Apollo's oracle to ask for help to find his daughter a husband. The oracle advised in order for Psyche to find love, she must be left alone on a mountaintop, and her husband would come for her. Her husband was to be the immortal Eros. So she lived in a beautiful palace and wanted for nothing but with Eros. And Eros would visit her at night unseen to make love and always leaving by dawn. Eros promised Psyche if he would that he would leave her if she ever saw his face. So then she became with child, and she was very happy. And her sadness of not sharing her happiness with her family, Cancer full moon, made her long to see her sisters. So Eros agreed to allow the west wind to lift her sisters up to bring them to the palace to visit from time to time. Jealous of how well Psyche lived, the sisters convinced her that her husband was a monster and will eat her baby when born, and that Psyche should kill her husband. So that night, after lovemaking, Psyche carried a lamp and a knife with the plan to kill her husband. And once she saw his beautiful hair and face, she became, she's stunned. She was like, he's no monster. I can't kill him. And I know, I love these fairy tales. Just bear with me. So she accidentally pricks her finger when pulling out an arrow from his pouch, because she was curious about his Cupid's arrows. Eros awoke to realize his wife had broken her promise and fled without a word. Now, having been wounded by his arrow, was evermore Psyche was in love with Eros. She wandered all over the world in search of Eros, and eventually came to Aphrodite's palace. Aphrodite had no mercy for Psyche and tortured her with sadness and sorrow by giving her impossible tests. And these 4 tests are the part where I think every one of us can relate on some level, having gone through fire and brimstone or dark nights of the soul. But in our fairy tale, these were the 4 tests that Aphrodite, who is Eros's mother, who resented the beauty of Psyche, who was in love with her son, gave her to fulfill. The first was, there was a pile of seeds: wheat, barley, millet, poppy seeds, peas, and lentils. And Psyche's job was to separate all of those for Aphrodite in a certain time limit. So she just started crying because it was impossible. And an ant heard her cries and called all the ants of the world to come to her rescue, and separated all the seeds just in time. You'll see ants a different way now after that, right?
Yeah.
So number 2 trial was to gather the golden wool from murderous sheep. I know a few family members that could be called murderous sheep. What about you? Psyche headed to get the advice of the green reed to find out, how would I get the golden fleece from the murderous sheep. And it was advised to wait until the sheep were asleep to gather their golden fleeces that they hung on the bushes. So she followed those instructions, and she was able to get the golden fleece from the murderous sheep and present them to Aphrodite. The 3rd trial was to bring her a jar of water from the black river called Styx, that was guarded by dragons that never slept. Psyche was not out of tears. She just froze. She just had no clue, how in the world would I ever do this? So Zeus, looking on, remembered that he owed Eros a favor, and sent his eagle to gather the water and give it to Psyche. And she was able to give Aphrodite the water. The 4th and final trial of Psyche was to traverse the underworld, Pluto, to obtain an essence of beauty from Persephone. And I won't digress there, but the myth of Persephone in the underworld is another really good one for this energy about facing your fears and bring light to your anxiety closet. Psyche prepared herself to jump off a cliff. She thought the only way to get to Hades, to get to Persephone, was to die. And so by divine providence, the tower spoke to her and suggested a different way. And following the tower's instructions, she took 2 coins, 2 pieces of bread soaked in honey. The first coin was to use to pay the fare across the river, and the first bread to appease the Cerberus, which is some sort of monster that protects the entrance to Hades, to allow her in, where she found Persephone. She refused all meals and instead only asked for a piece of bread and a favor from Persephone. Persephone granted Psyche's request, and Psyche returned to the land of the living, giving Cerberus her second bread and using the second coin for her return fare. Again, disobeying instructions, she opened the box of the essence of beauty in hopes that it would bring back or win back Eros. She opened the box only to fall into an eternal sleep. Seeing her lying there, Eros could no longer resist his love for Psyche and wiped the cloud of sleep away while carrying her to deliver her final gift to his mother just in time. Eros, wanting the torture to stop, went to Zeus and begged he make Psyche immortal. Zeus agreed and gave Psyche ambrosia so that Eros and Psyche could marry as equals, and proclaiming Aphrodite be satisfied as well. Eros and Psyche had a healthy daughter they named Voluptus, who became goddess of pleasure. That's my way of trying to describe exactly what these energies are that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I hope
Yeah.
I had wanted to have show and tell with certain cards to bring up the underworld and that, but it just got overwhelming, because for me these energies are extremely deep. They
Mm-hmm.
can bring up really difficult feelings from
Mm-hmm.
family in the past. Uh, if you've ever had someone leave you in hospice, that, it might be interesting to look at the degree of these planets compared to the degree of when that happened, because that's where astrology charts show us cycles in our life. And that's particularly interesting to me. And the study of astrology is not so much about what's going to happen next month or next year, but why we are here in the here and now experiencing either the joys or difficulties, whatever case may be for you. I also did a little further research for prior Cancer full moons, so that this is not going to work for everyone, but if someone does have their chart and can look up certain degrees of planets, it was actually around Christmas 2018 that we had a 0 degree Cancer full moon. This one's at 27. So that's a 3 or 4 degree orb, which is very close. And that also had a Sun conjunct Saturn aspect during that full moon, which is all about parents. So in December of 2018, did anyone experience very profound family events with parents? Could be older siblings. But
Mm-hmm.
Cancer is all about being close to family, being intimate. Another part of the Cancer is represented by the crab. So it has a very hard shell with a very fleshy interior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they protect their fleshy, soft, sensitive inside. And crabs have a sideways motion. I think you know this about me, and I'll share it, but I've taught dance most of my life. And I can tell you, I stumble over my feet a lot because I have a sideways motion. But
I didn't know that.
oh well, see, Cancer full moon is going to bring someone with a Cancer moon close to you. We want intimacy. We want to feel bond and security within our relationships. So yeah, that in a nutshell. The other part of what with this Uranus going direct today really makes positive movement forward, like for things that have gotten stuck. Or Cancer's famous for holding on to things, and you know, one of the coffee cups someone gave me once was Cancer never let go of anything without claw marks. You know, that sort of,
Oh, damn.
you know, you know, we want our we're sentimental, you know,
Uh-huh.
we like our treasures that represent warm, good family memories. So with Uranus, the thunderbolt stationing to go forward today and move and get quicker and quicker and quicker as the weeks go by, any kind of feeling of being stuck or just sort of in limbo, these energies are going to help move forward projects. And that opposition we had with Mars a week or so ago could have brought up a lot of arguments or yeah, arguments, whether it was with family members or friends, coworkers. But sometimes an argument will leave people somewhat stunned in kind of like a in like a suspension.
Mhm.
So with Uranus stationing to be direct today, you may reconcile or see someone approach that point again. Well, which is interesting. I didn't think of this until I just said that, but the granddaughter who made a huge ordeal at Thanksgiving about I'm suing my aunt for the diamond ring. Grandmother's She died, I think, last night or night before, like midnight. Now the
Oh.
granddaughter is coming back around to that argument with her aunt. So that to me is what's so fascinating about astrology and watching cycles and patterns with planets is maybe the faces aren't the same, or maybe they are, but how cycles and patterns are ongoing, you know, it's
Mhm.
infinite. So yeah,
Until
just
it's there's a resolution.
right, right.
Mhm. And
And
we're in a retrograde period, so
well, and
get it
here's
done.
another part of that, just to give you the dot on the I and the cross on the T. The aunt
Mhm.
has no children. This granddaughter
Um,
is the only girl. She'll get her aunt's jewelry. I mean, it just
yeah.
unbelievable how egotistical people can be by their sort of propped up three-dimensional things. You know, they're
Mhm.
things. Whereas Cancer full moon really doesn't care about things. They want
Mhm.
closeness. They want,
Family.
yeah,
Mhm.
security, the
Mhm.
home.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh.
that's my take on it. I'm sure 100 other astrologers may have 100 other takes, but
Mhm.
uh, I have a very strong Cancer influence on my chart, both with the moon and Venus at the top of the chart and what's called a semi-sextile to my sun. So there's a real my sun and moon are at the same degree. And so yeah, that's it's been a hellish kind of few days for me
Mhm.
with issues of the end of the matter, you know, remembering hospice, a boss
Oh.
having an accident. So full moons tend to, you know, more murders are committed, more babies are born, the tides are rising. So it does tend to make the energy in the atmosphere more intense. And just
Right.
depending on where it falls in your chart would manifest how intensely. So it's been pretty intense for people with Cancer moons.
Yeah, I would say because I'm a Scorpio moon and,
Yeah,
I personally was dealing with my family, but it wasn't, anything negative or
yeah.
intense. It was actually a very, joyful
It's a
gathering.
trine, right? So
Right.
Cancer Scorpio is 120 degrees apart. That's a
Mhm.
trine. It's called Lady Luck of the
Okay.
universe. So it makes things more easy. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's very interesting, the connections between all the planets. And, an event in and of itself, a Cancer full moon, is nothing is ever just standing alone. These energies
Mhm.
overlap each other and are ongoingly changing. So, but we've had a real interesting mix with Mercury retrograde opposite Mars, um, the moon opposite Venus, and the full moon opposite Pluto.
Mhm.
That's
It's very heavy energy,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
that's
and
what
it's
I was thinking of, the trials of psych. I mean,
Mhm.
that to me is synonymous with, we all have to, or don't have to, but on a spiritual journey, you tend to seek out the darkest parts of your psyche, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that can be the hermit mode. Sometimes people just need to be left alone to lick their wounds, or figure out, why do they keep going in the same circle or loop.
Right.
Um, and then, there's plenty of people that aren't watching this
Yes.
who just, are fine with, the just like the decorations of the heart. I think that's how it was once put to me, is, you can be a spiritual person and really go into your heart, or you can, use all of the terminology of spirituality and decorate the outside of your heart. And
Mhm.
quite
Mhm.
often, all of us have experienced, feeling tricked or fooled by people, and that's part of a Cancer full moon, is you want to get down to the genuine essence of someone,
Mhm.
you know. And this is what my friend said about her daughter over this stupid ring was, I've seen a side of her I've never seen. And I was very unhappy. It was very, it was hard for her to see her daughter act this way, wanting to sue her aunt.
Yeah.
They're just crazy. So, yeah, this was a pretty personal, these were pretty personal placements for me recently.
Mhm.
So, there were a few times when I just felt overwhelmed, like I didn't even know how to speak to these feelings. So, that's why I decided to tell it through a fairy tale.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was very touching because it was relatable.
Yeah.
Especially for the majority of the twins who are actually on this journey. And you had mentioned December of 2018, which actually was the last time I spent with my twin. That
Oh,
was actually the first Christmas I spent with him, possibly. Well, the only Christmas I spent with him in the physical. Also, I spent New Year's with him around that time. And so it's a very memorable time for me personally. But I knew he was going through a very hard time with his family.
yeah.
So I know that for him, he's possibly going through these energies, you know. And for me, I'm not as hard. It's not as hard hitting for
Right.
me, but for him, he was actually going through that. So perhaps this is a recurring because it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how, you can look back at the degrees of different placements, and uh, that's what I kind of was trying to get to with retrograde energies, is you might have the reoccurring dream.
Mm-hmm.
You might have just the memory of something that happened.
Right.
So it's it's either as simple or as complex as you care to make it.
Or whatever universe delivers in a
Yes.
pretty little package for you to
Yes.
open up, and it's that essence.
Well, I tell you, I used to hear my mother, and it ends up I am my mother. She would get in the kitchen and rattle those pots and pans and just crank out some wonderful food, and she'd be upset about something. And this was the
Mhm.
way that she worked out. And I have been cooking like a banshee lately. I'm just like, I'm so sort of rattled about all the different bombardments of memories or things that cooking and focusing on a recipe. And,
Mhm.
I've had a couple of under the weather neighbors, so it makes Cancer feel good to nurture you. So,
Mhm.
to take that and know that it makes somebody feel better, makes me feel better.
Mhm.
Cancer, when you have those keywords, is all about I feel. Um, and that's something that Cancer has to work on, is being somewhat cognizant of, are you feeling somebody else's stuff? Are you clearing your energy and protecting your energy to not pick up the negative? It's a very just a mindfulness and staying in the present moment for all of
Mhm.
us, because it's definitely a goulash of energies out there between all the planets. And just, I just keep hoping for warmer weather. I'm in an area that's way too cold for my liking, so it's,
Well, yeah, I heard that it was ice,
yeah,
snow, sleet in your area. Over in mine, we have fog. But yeah, I mean, who could
that's very
turn down
Neptunian.
yeah, who could turn down some comfort food anyways?
Yeah, yeah, it's real weird. And my neighbors have called to say, "Hey, I need to give you some money or something. You're just giving us too much." I was like, I get to the store and I get overwhelmed because I think of all these things I want to do, and I get home and I realize everything's going to spoil on the same day. So then you got
Yeah,
to cook it
I
all
get
up.
it.
And but I will tell you, it is how a Cancerian will handle stress. It's connected to the stomach. It's, I want to nurture, I want to
Mhm.
feel better, and if that's with something home cooked,
I
I've
have to
pulled out
see
like
about my
old family
mama's
recipes, I mean, just
yeah.
stuff like that. So uh, that's interesting.
No, what I was saying is I have to check into my mama's birth chart because
Yes.
her moon birthday is in September, which makes her Virgo, but she was actually a Libra. So
So
she was
she's
actually
right on
born
the
in
cusp. Yeah. Or,
right, and so, but I'm very curious because my mama loves to cook. She can cook, honey. Like,
yeah.
I have food for the whole block.
Yeah.
Like
I tell you, it's been, and isn't that interesting?
yeah,
We've
I
been
know.
dealing with Cancerian full moon energy, and full moons generally, you lead up to it several days ahead. It's pretty intense for about 3 days, and then it sort of lingers. So,
Mhm.
for you to say you could feed the neighborhood, and here I am feeding the neighborhood,
Yeah,
feels
that's
like,
why I'm
and
curious, there
one of
has to
my
be some kind
neighbors
of
was like,
correlation.
something about like it was like a hardship for me or whatever. It's like, you don't understand. I'm really upset, and this is how I'm figuring it out. This is how I'm trying to process all these things going on that I need to make decisions on and that are upsetting. I think my friend bringing up having to go arrange hospice triggered, um, and that's what made me look up in the ephemeris, so you've got the one that started in the year 2000.
Mhm,
And then when
mhm.
you need to know about really old stuff, here's one that
Oh,
started in 1900. So I went back to 1996 when my mom died, and looking
mhm.
at planets and the degrees compared to what they are lately, and they're the same. And I was like, isn't that strange? That's not something that I would have really thought to seek out.
Correlated, right.
Yeah. But I was trying to think of things that help the viewers understand their own chart, or if you're wondering why something from the past is resurfacing, or people, or even just thought patterns. It doesn't have to be in the physical. It could just be, um, I'm scared of dragons, and you're confronted with a dragon again. I mean, just whatever it is, to me, that's where astrology is a tool, to kind of figure it out. And I will say this, right? It does help you to reflect on those patterns and past,
Mhm.
to know how far you've come, because I know that it can be lonely on a spiritual path. Um, there's just so many different ways people handle their challenges or their dark night of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So, my hope is to give people tools um, to process those feelings and not deny them, not like tie them up in a nice little neat bow, but
Mm-hmm.
process it. If it were spring or summer, I'd be digging in the dirt like a banshee, right? Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Whatever it takes. I had a teacher a long time ago who was a Buddhist monk, and one of the most valuable tools he ever said, and that I do to this day, break a sweat every day.
Mm-hmm.
It moves the vibration of energy. So like if you're feeling stuck or sad or depressed or just stuck, break a sweat, because our bodies are organic, right? And we're always responding to our environment, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
temperature fluctuations or job, 3D people in office situations or whatever. But to break a sweat every day, that helps to move on the energy. And that to me is probably one of the most helpful daily. And it's hard when it's 22 degrees outside. You know what I mean? It's like
No. I mean,
I got to turn on the
I think it
vacuum or,
makes sense,
yeah,
because like what came to me was the flu. It's the same thing you
yes,
do
break a
when you
fever.
have like a sickness, you want to break a sweat to kind
Right.
of get that virus out of your system.
That's so
So,
interesting you bring that up, because this lady
mhm,
I've been going through with her mother-in-law dying, and she has gotten over some kind of flu bug. And twice in the last 10 days, we've talked about, piling up under an electric blanket, or just do whatever you have to do to break a sweat and
mhm.
break the fever. She actually had like 101 fever. And then all I kept getting when I was trying to put notes together for this full moon was that song Fever. So
Oh,
it
that's
all comes
interesting.
around.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I actually looked into that. It was first done in 1953 by someone named Peggy Lee, who I
Mhm.
don't really remember, but I remember my mother hated her in the 60s. There was some song back in the crevice of my memories, and I just remember my mom would tell me, "Stop singing that song." It was, I have to think about, but when I was growing up, Elvis did a version of Fever that was just to die for, and I love Elvis, so
Oh,
go
yes.
look up the Elvis version of Fever, and that'll get you sweating.
Yeah.
Some people,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't do it for everybody, but
No, I mean, there might be some Elvis fans here
and
in the
Elvis's
chat.
birthday was this month. He would have been 87 on January
Oh,
8th. Right.
oh, is he a Capricorn
He
too?
is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting how all of that kind of connects. And, you know, if you do stay in the moment and you do try to roll with the punches with whatever comes up in your emotional body, psychic things happen naturally. Just like you
Mhm,
and I pretty much do try to practice present, being present, and we're constantly connecting sentences and thoughts, and
mhm.
it's purely a psychic energy. It's not planned, contrived, or controlled. It's
Right.
all organic.
It
And
just flows and it's
yes,
natural.
and I
Mhm,
think that's a really important thing to practice in any water sign moon, right? The
mhm,
Cancer
mhm.
full moon is particularly sensitive to feeling,
Very interesting. Wow. So let's see here. Uh, Shabaka loves the ancient history and their mythologies.
I do too. There's
Yeah.
a lot to learn from that.
Mhm.
The
Oh,
reason I
definitely.
got off of the Native American folklore about Pocahontas and John Smith is when you really start looking into that, it was, you know, that wasn't even her real name. There's a lot of controversy about whether they were really in love. Um, it is a much more complex story than what the song Fever says it is.
Mhm, mhm.
Daddy, don't you, what is it? Daddy, don't you hurt him? I love him so well, whatever the song goes. It's like she saved him from being killed by her father. It was
Mhm,
forbidden love. She was Native American, he was English, and
mhm.
um, he gives me fever. That's what she says. Daddy, don't you kill him. He gives me the fever. And supposedly she went back to England. She's actually
Uh-huh.
buried in England. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting parts to that tale. But Psyche and Eros, I just felt like was more about the trials in our own subconscious mind
Mhm.
um, that we have to go through to sort of uncover what are our fears about intimacy. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the reason we're not in a relationship is some barrier or boundary that's very deep, and trusting someone to show you that fleshy inside, of the
Mhm.
crab. So, yeah, I feel like these energies are extremely deep, and not everyone is going to want to um,
Address it.
journey into that water, right? It's
Right.
pretty deep water. And, um, you know, my moon and Venus is in the ninth house. I've been a counselor all my life. What I do for my 3D job is very much hand holding and counseling of other people. And, I'm into psyche, wanting to help people figure out what's in their subconscious mind and why they do the things they do, and try
Mhm.
to offer ideas of, in fact, with my friend going through this hospice business the last week, um, it was really a horrible way her mother-in-law was found, and she had to deal with it by herself. Like, family just scatters, right? There's always
Mhm.
one person in the family that kind of deals with the real hard stuff. And then when family realized, well, grandma's going to die and might have something for us, they show up in line with their hand out. And she decided, because she had been sick, she'd had a fever. And she's like, I've done all for years. She's taken care of this woman. And she needed to start just taking care of herself. And that's another message of a Cancer full moon is you can nurture others, but you've got to know your boundary that
Right. You have to
you
nurture
want to take care of
yourself.
yourself. And
Mhm.
so it's but one of the things that I suggested she do, because she was getting so upset with the behavior of her sister-in-law and her own daughter and one of the sons, just being ridiculous, a disappearing grandson, all this. And that's something I wrote up. I was like, why don't you just keep a journal through this?
Mhm.
Just write down these feelings of hurt or anger or resentment or whatever. And so the lady dies. What are we on Tuesday? She died at 11:45 Sunday night, so just before midnight yesterday. And when I was talking to her last night, she was like, I'm feeling guilty, like, maybe I should have gone over there more. I was like, what are you talking about? But that's very Cancerian to feel guilty that you haven't
Mhm.
taken care of everything. And that's
Mhm.
something that Cancer people have to have a handle
Let
on is,
go.
yeah, don't guilt yourself. You
Right.
probably do more and above than the average. And so
Mhm.
um, I was like scolding her last night on the phone and reminding her, because I've been hearing about all of this stuff she does over there for this woman for a couple of years. And I just
Mhm.
started, reverberating back, remember, remember, remember. And every other day you took her a chocolate pie because all of the woman ever wanted was a just, and she had dogs that were not well kept that my friend would take care of. And my friend's not a dog person at all. So she did a
Mhm.
lot. And so when it came time she felt bad and was sick and needed to be in bed taking care of herself. her husband, who is a son, his sister, her children, they needed to show up and see
Right.
the woman in a hospital bed in hospice in her home and dying. And, that was something they needed to experience because it's a
Mhm.
reality in life. And one of those dark fears people have about dying. So it's very interesting how the mind will play tricks on us about in the moment we've made the right decision. And then 3 days later, second thinking, should I have done this or that? And that's what I call the monkey mind, and just
Right.
to, get a handle on you make the best decisions you can with the information you have at the time, and no amount of guilt or regret changes that. And that's another part of this full moon and completion. Let go of regrets, let go of grudges, let go of, you know, things you can't do anything about anymore.
Mhm.
That's full moons are completion. Just accept and let it go, and do the best you can with the next opportunity you have to be a better person or make better judgment or, better decisions, whatever it is for your circumstance.
I think that's really good advice, you know?
I'm in my
Yeah.
element right now with a Cancer full moon.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Mhm, mhm. Let's see here.
I
Oh,
pulled
there's
out the
some.
Lover's Tarot.
Which one is that? Is that the one with the major arcanas?
The big,
Oh, okay.
I love these.
Yeah, if you wanna pull some, yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
So let's have a summary card for our full moon in Cancer. Uranus stationing direct on the sun traversing to Aquarius, please. The Tower.
Oh my god, how,
Appropriate.
exactly. We were
In
just
this
talking about
tarot
that.
deck, the interesting interpretation of this Tower card is the two people being flailed out of the tower are fated to be together. So they have run from any kind of feelings of intimacy and wanting to bond out of fear, out of some
Mhm.
subconscious buried fear. And the universe is saying, oh, well, you've got a contract together and you need to get it together. So this is about fated lovers.
Mhm.
And I know in some tarot decks that it'll say it blows apart in an existing relationship, but in this particular Jane, what is it, what's her name, Affairs of the Heart, Jane Lyle, the Lovers
Mhm.
Tarot. To give these people their due, because this is a beautiful deck. And so would you or one of your viewers like to ask a question for me to pull a card on?
Um,
So
let's
that,
see
that
here.
that's kind of what I wrote into an email with you when I was telling you about my boss was in a car accident this morning, was
Mhm.
hold on for the ride. So the Tower card is, hold on for the ride.
I would just generalize it and say, what is the advice for the collective? We kind of know what we need to do, but is there any other guidance that universe or spirit wants
What is the
to
guidance?
send for
What
the
is this
viewers?
guidance for our viewers? Oh, beautiful.
Oh, it's the lovers. Oh, this the twins.
This is Cupid
Oh,
from the fairy tale.
yes. That's beautiful.
There's always there's a lot of interpretation here that the could be. When I very first started in tarot, we never read the third party part of the Lover's card. The
Mhm.
third part was the love between the two lovers.
Mm-hmm.
was the essence of the spirit formed between the two souls. So
Yeah.
I
And
kind of
that
prefer that.
particular, yeah, graphic, you don't see the fire burning in the tree. It's all fruitful. So it's definitely a different light interpretation of the lovers from what I can see.
It's lover's light.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let me see if I can glean anything else from our explanation here. Let's see. It is representative of the sign of Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
The card of the lovers embodies the ancient esoteric idea of opposites which balance each other out and cannot exist alone. By blending and balancing such opposites, union is achieved. This is often represented by a third figure on the card, which can be an angel, Cupid, or a wise old woman. This magical union was referred to by the alchemists as the sacred marriage, the harmonious connection of male and female. The message of duality is enhanced by the card's airy ruling sign of Gemini, symbolized by the twins. The lovers represents choices, romance, and union.
Wow. So if you want union, you have to just really work on yourself so that you could be in alignment with the partnership of your desired person.
So this book has like different parts, like whether it's you, your partner, the relationship, or the future. So I just want to say about the future, there's a gift. You have reached a crossroads in your life, a turning point that could affect your home and career as well as your relationships. Think carefully before choosing what you want to do, as your future now rests very much in your own hands, and it is up to you to grasp opportunities for happiness. If you are currently alone, you will not be without someone special for long. So there you go.
Yay!
That's a
All the
that's
singles,
very nice.
okay.
Yes, it's a very nice that's a very nice advice card.
It sure is. Especially for the twins that have been patiently, waiting for the right opportunity. So that's beautiful.
It is.
Okay. So, is there anything else that anyone would like to add or ask Sunny before we close out this session? Cupid stirring up trouble as always.
Yes, being pricked by that love potion number 9 on the end of the arrow.
I know, right? Nagad. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I see Shabaka. Yeah, I seen it on my side. That's why I looked and I put that person in confinement.
Oh, do we have someone being naughty?
No, it's a bot. Yeah, I see
A
it.
a electronic gadget. Uranus
Mhm.
stationing to go direct.
Oh, is that a part of those energies?
Uranus is all about robots, artificial intelligence. Yeah,
Yeah, I had to take care of it.
yeah. Gosh, just
Okay.
constant bombardment.
Yeah, so I don't see anything else coming from the audience. Okay. So, okay, so we can just close out this session early. After I close out this particular video later on, I'll be doing a collective reading for the twin flames. But I won't be doing it live. It'll be a pre-recorded reading. I just need to record it. And I guess for the zodiac readings for this week, I hope to at least crunch everyone in by Friday. If not, I'll do my best. Okay, so there might be a trickling until next week. Someone is asking what is going on with Aquarius. So do you kind of
Oh,
know?
well, you're getting ready to have a solar return. So that
Mm-hmm.
would be a renewal. I believe it is later this week. The sun, 19th, moves into the sign of Aquarius. So that's all about the when the sun returns to its original position as it was the moment you were born. It means that if there have been things over the past year that have been a disappointment or haven't worked out, you get a clean slate and you are to celebrate renewal. Aquarian, that's ruled by Uranus. So with Uranus stationing today to go direct, that could also sort of fast forward or fast pace unexpected opportunities. So I don't know if you're looking for a new job or new lover or a new home.
No, actually, for my Aquarius readings, I've been channeling that Aquarius is going to have a very auspicious year. Like Aquarius are actually going to have a lover for sure. I've been channeling it. They're kind of like in the top position to attract love, at least this year.
So it's all about a clean slate, and
Uh-huh.
letting go of those regrets or grudges or anything that's held you back from the past that flavors the future. So trying to meditate on new beginnings and acceptance and being
Mm-hmm.
in the moment and trusting the universe to bring only positive new beginnings and exciting thunderbolts of lightning.
Right, right.
I don't know where that
Yeah,
came
just as
from,
long
but
as
yeah.
yeah, just as long as the Aquarius, releases resentment from a lover, because what I was picking up is that there's a past love that's re-entering into Aquarius's life, and so if that's the person that you want back into your life, you have to let go of, any kind of past situations that you may have, not really forgetting, but accepting things as they are, right? And
It's an air sign that might also mean going back into some sort of education,
mhm.
expanding education, or even just taking fun classes, adult education for hobbies, sports. I don't know why archery is coming to mind, but you
Yeah,
know,
it could be, baseball related, is what I was getting, mhm. Yeah. So, it's gonna be a really great time for my aquas.
yeah, yeah. I'm happy
Uh,
to go through the signs if you want. It just is up to you all.
well, my son is getting off the bus soon, that's
Oh,
why I'm, like,
gotcha. Okay.
looking at the time.
Yes.
We'll just pick a few from the audience. Let's see. So, will I be reunited with my twin flame then? The probability is really high, Michelle Love. Mhm. I'm not, guaranteeing it, but I would say an 80% chance of yes for my aquas. That's what I've been picking up so far.
So here's
Um,
something to think about on that.
mhm.
The subconscious mind is a very multi-dimensional, layered energy field. So you want to meditate to bring all of those levels of consciousness into alignment so that what you're desiring is maybe on one part of your vibration, but in a much deeper part, not. So when people say, I pray, I manifest, it's about sincerity to the very essence of your soul.
Mhm.
So if you're not getting what you're trying to manifest, meditate more and find out where is that sticky energy that's not allowing a complete alignment of all layers of your consciousness. And that is the key to manifesting is sincerity. It's funny
Right.
how that works. You
No.
might think that, well, I don't know a good example. I guess for love, you might think you've forgiven someone, but really, somewhere down there, deep in your soul, you're still harboring some kind of the time that they stood me up, whatever, right?
Mhm.
The time they did that or this. So, the only way to really get to the bottom of it, really, is breaking a good sweat,
Mhm.
meditating, journaling, not being afraid to admit the thing that you're afraid the most to admit.
And work with that energy, releasing it and letting it
I'm
go.
just getting a ringing. So yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Sincerity is the key to manifesting. Like as simple as gosh, I wish I could think of an object, but I can think of times when I've said, boy, I wish I had some raisins, you know. And then within a couple of weeks, everywhere I look, I'm getting raisins. People are giving me raisins or I'm buying, you know, I mean, it was, if it's a sincere desire, you will
Mm-hmm.
manifest it. If it's not manifesting, there's something, you know, a Buddhist monk once told me that our energy is like candle wax, right? Our
Mm-hmm.
emotions and our karma make impressions in this waxy consciousness. And so we have to meditate on clearing all of that gunk that has made us have judgments that keep us from fulfilling our greatest potential. There's a really good book coming to mind. I might mention it's called Drama of the Gifted Child. And that sort of explains what I'm getting to is sometime, and this is very dramatic energy. So
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
might be seeing or feeling a lot of dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to do whatever we can to not live our life like a soap opera. That is my best advice. And if you are doing things or involved in situations that you might see on a daytime soap opera when they used to have them, that's where you start, is cleaning out your friends and your patterns of things that do not serve you or support the truest essence or goal of your heart and soul.
Yeah, so just do some cleanup, Michelle.
Then we got
Yes.
judgment, which
Judgment.
is rebirth. You know, this is
Mm-hmm.
the new soul that's let go of all of the past life karma and negativity. Archangel Michael's trumpet calls in rebirth.
Mm-hmm. And be a judge of good character, what you do and don't want
Yeah.
when you have another chance with your twin. So that's really good advice. Let's see. She is okay. So Carol asks, "Is that Aquarius moon too?" Yes, I would say so.
Yes. Anybody
Mhm.
with a lot of Aquarius energy, like today with the planet Uranus, which rules Aquarius, stationing to go direct, this will kind of like, I imagine a clutch in a car. Like it has to like, there's a neutral part, and then for it to station and go direct means the clutch is engaged and you're moving
Mhm.
forward. I don't know
Okay.
why I got that, but that's what I
It's
got.
kind of funny you said that because I was driving through Seattle over the weekend and we are going up a really steep incline. And I was like, you know what? If I had like a stick shift driving up this, it wouldn't, it would be, I would be breaking a sweat at that point.
Moving energy.
Yeah, good thing it's an automatic, right?
Yeah.
um, Cecilia says in April, Jupiter and Neptune aligns and good for soul
Mm.
connections.
Yeah, Jupiter, Neptune, this is reminiscent of the Christ energy.
Mm.
And when kings and queens are born. So that would take me down the rabbit hole we don't want to go.
Okay, that's for another show. And we still have time, that's April.
And here's the world.
Oh, yes.
So Jupiter, Neptune.
Mhm.
A lot of people call this the cosmic egg,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
every element is available to you. Jupiter, Neptune is all about spiritual journey into the unknown. Um, just because it's in April doesn't mean we don't start feeling it, depending on how sensitive you are to the energy. So
Right.
Jupiter, Neptune is all about gleaning information from your dreams.
Mhm.
And I feel prompted to repeat this. I'm sorry if I've repeated it in prior chats with us, but it's worthy of repeating. So, one of the best exercises I've ever been told about dream work is this: have your recording device, whether it's your phone and recording or a notebook and pen, at your bedside. Uh, as you are going into sleep at the end of your day, picture a movie camera in your mind's eye and make a conscious decision that you're going to record your movies. The brain and subconscious is like any other muscle that you train to get it to do what you want it to do. Then, in those first moments before coming completely out of sleep, you imagine you're rewinding the film and you play it forward and you record in that notebook. How do you feel when you wake up? Were there any colors or numbers that you can recall? And at first, you may not really get anything, but at the very minimum, you're to write down, how do you feel? Are you
Mhm.
tired? Do you feel rested? Are you confused? And the thing that fails with dream work in people is patience, because it takes a good 2 weeks of that exercise to where you start putting together actual sentences, and those fragments that you've been gleaning actually start making sense.
Mhm.
And part of the beginning of my interpretation of the energies we are in has a lot to do with a trine to Neptune, which is all about paying attention to what you're dreaming about. I had the strangest dream night before last. It was this beautiful, like, chalet somewhere, just a beautiful resort, the wood and the woodwork, and I was just walking around, like, just mesmerized at the art and the beauty of it all. And I have a real small circle of friends, but every single one of them was there, and it was weird, but
Mhm.
for me, Cancer moon, Venus, Cancer full moon, to dream of a home with my extended family, or people that I consider like family all in one place.
Mhm.
I woke up feeling like, uh, I need to appreciate the people that have appreciated me more,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
not take for granted that someone is there for you. You nurture friendships and relationships. They don't just exist on their own. So maybe that sign for someone out there is there someone that's been on your mind or who appeared in a dream that maybe you want to, reconnect with or reach out to and just say, hey, because that's what I did. One of the people in the dream I hadn't spoken to since the new year, and I just reached out and I said, I just had you in the craziest dream and wanted to let you know, so friendships and relationships take energy and nurturing and attention. And certainly you can gather a lot of that information from the dreams. So stick with it is the thing, as people get frustrated because they don't feel like they're remembering things and they give up too quickly. It's like any other muscle. You have to train it to do what you want it to do.
Well, I had some really interesting dreams. When my family came, I dreamt of that dead guy again, you
Ooh,
know? Yeah, he always comes to me in my dreams. I don't know. I'm still trying to
I feel
decipher
like
what that
it's like a
means.
brother from another lifetime or something like
Well, I
that.
think it's more of a lover because I hugged him very deeply in my dream and he felt warm and he felt real.
That's
And I felt like,
nice.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm always hugging on this guy, in my
Well,
dreams. I don't know, but he's already passed away. Um, the other dream I have was kind of an ominous dream, but basically it was, these soldier guys propelling from helicopters, administering vaccine shots to, the unvaccinated. Like, I don't know, guys, that was a fucking weird dream, but, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, helicopters hovering and men dropping down. Yeah, by force.
Hovering. So I wonder if that was sort of synonymous with having your parents sort of hovering this week.
You know what? That could be. My
Concern.
dad was in my peripheral, and I could not really, like, do my thing. And then he was like, um, like, how does that work, And I was like, well, Dad, this is like my element, So yeah, I had to really have my space while I was in my elements to do these channelings. My mother, she's very open with me
Excuse
dealing with this kind of stuff, but my dad, it's kind of weird.
me. Trying to get something out.
Yeah, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh my god, your eyes are watering.
Boy, I'd hit something. Yep. All
Well,
right.
maybe it's something we need to get out, right?
I gotta get it out.
Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. So thank you again, Sunny,
You.
for being here with me and for the collective and sharing your
Ah,
knowledge and experience and expertise and just everything that you bring to this channel.
thank you.
And
Thank your
yes,
viewers.
yes.
Lost
And
my
so
voice.
I know. I hope you're
Mm,
doing okay over there.
boy, that was intense.
It was.
Ah, here, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, whatever,
Okay,
anything is
yes,
coming
you
through
need
here.
some of
Let's
that.
get rid of that. Oh, ah, yeah,
I got my stuff here too, and,
yeah.
I'm doing
Ooh.
espresso also.
All right, gang.
Yes.
We'll hook up at the end
So,
of the month with the I think it's
there's a new moon at the
in
end of the month
yeah,
on the
31st.
31st. Mhm. You're
Yeah.
welcome, Varakana. Cough it up, Shabaka says, "Cough it up, honey."
I got a hairball.
Oh, I
12
hope it's
degrees Aquarius on the 31st.
oh.
Lunar New Year.
Yes, yes, it's going to be, the new year for
Birth.
the Asian cultures.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very somewhat auspicious time because we're going into the tiger year. But it's tiger water from what I know, so I don't know, I have to read into that a little bit more.
We're in a
Um,
spiritual awakening, so everybody will do that differently.
mhm, mhm. Okay. So, thank you again, Sunny, for
Thank
being here
you.
with us,
Thank
and
your viewers. I appreciate the time and folly for fairy tales.
yes, yes. And so, guys, if you guys want to book a reading with Sunny, you can visit lionmountainhealing.com and book a natal chart reading. This could be, but for yourself. This could be about you and a love interest if you guys are interested in that. And I believe that she does solar return charts, all different types of readings, whatever that you're really interested in. It's a really good comparison towards the traditional tarot. She also does tarot readings if you guys are interested.
And
And
there's a
so,
bit of a more another angle to the full moon article there that I posted for the full moon today.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and check it out. Again, lionmountainhealing.com.
Thanks, sweetie.
So, yes, thank you all for watching. Thank you again, Sunny, for being here with us today. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.